I stopped packing my grandson's lunch the week his mother told his teacher I was just the nanny, not family. My grandson Eli is 6. I've been watching him 4 days a week since he was 8 weeks old. I was in the delivery room the morning he was born. I held him before his father did, because my son Daniel was still trying not to pass out in the corner. I taught Eli to walk in my kitchen. I read to him every single night for the first 2 years of his life because his mother, my daughter-in-law Tara, had trouble with the bedtime routine and asked me to take it over. I'm the one who figured out he had a dairy sensitivity because I was the one paying close enough attention to notice. Tara went back to work when Eli was 2 months old. Daniel travels for work, sometimes 2 or 3 weeks at a stretch. So most of the time, it's just been me. I want to be fair to Tara. We've never been exactly close, but we made it work. I kept my mouth shut when she did things differently than I would have. She kept hers shut when I let Eli have crackers before dinner or an extra story at bedtime. We had a system. I thought we both understood what I was to that family. I've packed Eli's lunch every morning since he started kindergarten in September. Turkey and cheese cut into triangles because he won't eat them any other way. An applesauce pouch. A little note with a drawing. Something different every day. Last week it was a duck. The week before that a rocket ship. His teacher Ms. Reyes mentioned it to me at pickup one afternoon. Said Eli talks about grandma's notes all the time. That meant more to me than she probably realized. 2 weeks ago, Eli came home on a Wednesday, and he was quiet. Too quiet. I asked what was wrong, and he said Miss Reyes had asked him that day who packs his lunch. I said, what did you tell her? He said, I said you do, Grandma. And then he looked up at me and said, Mom told Miss Reyes you're just the helper and not our real family. Is that true? I told him of course not. I told him he's my whole heart. My hands were shaking when I said it, but I kept my voice steady. I didn't say a word to Tara that afternoon. I wanted to know exactly what was said before I opened my mouth. So the next morning, I got to the school early, before drop-off, and asked Miss Reyes if she had a few minutes. She looked uncomfortable from the second I walked up. She told me she'd mentioned the lunch notes to Tara earlier that week, just making conversation, saying how much Eli lit up talking about them. And Tara had said, oh, that's just our nanny. She handles the logistics. We try to keep the real family things separate. Just our nanny. Logistics. I have never been paid a single dollar to watch that child. Not one. I've turned down part-time work 3 times in the last 2 years because Tara's schedule changed and she needed me on Fridays. I drove Eli to urgent care at 11 p.m. last February when he had croup and Daniel was in Dallas and Tara was falling apart on the phone. I sat in that waiting room alone until almost 2 a.m. I've rearranged my entire life around that little boy for 6 years. But sure, nanny, logistics. I thanked Miss Reyes and went back to my car and sat there until I could breathe normally again. That Thursday I didn't pack a lunch. Tara called me at 12:30 in the afternoon. The school had called her because Eli had nothing to eat and she'd had to leave a work meeting to drive him food. She asked what happened. I said I was sorry to hear that. She said no, what happened with his lunch? I said, well, I wasn't sure where the line is between nanny duties and real family things. I didn't want to overstep. She went quiet. Then she said, that's not what I meant. I said, what did you mean, Tara? Because Ms. Reyes understood it pretty clearly. And then Eli came home and asked me if I was real family. He's 6 years old. She said she was going to talk to Daniel. I told her to go right ahead. Daniel called that evening. First thing he said was, Mom, I had no idea she said that. He sounded genuinely mortified. Said he was going to handle it. Asked me please not to stop coming. Said Eli needed his routine and he needed me there. I told him I wasn't going anywhere. That wasn't the point. I honestly don't know yet what handle it is going to look like. Maybe Tara apologizes. Maybe nothing changes and we all just go back to pretending. But I keep thinking about every morning I walked through that front door at 7 a.m. so she could leave on time. Every little drawing on every little note. I decided I wasn't going to act like the word nanny just accidentally came out of her mouth. He's eaten school lunch every day this week.